Hi everyone, this is Lisa Cronin from It's the Little Things in Card Making. And first I'm going to apologize for any background noise you may hear. I'm doing this video at 3:30 in the afternoon, where typically I do my videos at 2 and 3 in the morning, when everything is quiet and everyone's asleep. So if you hear any background noise, forgive me. Okay, what I wanted to do today is a Halloween card. But I also wanted to do something showing perspective and looking at your scenic dies or your cover dies, looking to see what pieces you can use, what you can match up. I have two Halloween dies here. This is Scrapbooking Made Simple. It's a smaller die. It cuts at 5 by 3.5 inches. And I did some surgery on this one. And then I have this die here. This is Griffin's die. And it's supposed to be made for an A7 card. And we're going to do some surgery here as well. So what I did was, I already did my surgery on the cards to show you what I'm talking about when I'm talking about perspective. Now we have a cat. And the cat is looking at just where he lives, where he's hanging out. And then we have a house. Now the perspective that I'm talking about is the house is a lot smaller than if I put the cat here. Because the cat would be huge. So by kind of playing around with our dies and looking at our scenic dies, we could have the perspective that we need, and it also gives the card the illusion of depth. So what I did was I took these two dies and I did some surgery, and this is what they look like after I did my cutting. So what I did was I took a die, I took another piece of cardstock, and I'm going to lay this cut on top of this cut. And you can see everything that I've cut off. So I've changed it from a beautiful day with orange blossoms in the tree and a little girl playing with her cat. And I did a lot of cutting. Okay, the background noise is getting to me. All right. So what I typically would do is I would sandwich them together, and I would make sure that they're perfectly aligned. And I would typically keep a template. So if I want to make another Halloween card, all I have to do is pretty much trace this out, and I'll explain. I'm looking for another. And you have to have kind of a picture in your mind as to what exactly you want to do. So now you would just take a pencil or a pen, typically a pencil, and you would just mark off the pieces that you want to cut off. So we're cutting a lot of those flowers off, and when we start cutting, the picture is going to completely change. And again, if you miss a few spots or you're not tracing over the image well, you can always go back and cut it again. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to cut her completely out of the picture. I want to just make sure I'm straight. I'm going to the bottom of the fence. And it's going to be a little wonky. Actually, I don't have to do that. It's this one. Okay. Top of the fence to the bottom. And this is all going to come out. All of this is going to come out. This is all going to come out. This is going to come out. So then all we would have to do is cut those lines that we just made. And it's not hard. It doesn't take long. You already have your marks there. So you're just going to cut wherever you have those lines. You got to make sure I stay in camera here. And what you want to do is when you think you're done, see, this is probably out. Yes, it is. When you think you're done, go back and look at your image again from what you traced and make sure everything you want out is out. And like I said, you can always keep your original. I'm going to use it, but in the video. See, I'm looking to see where I have to cut here. It's that line. And I guess it's, what I did was I kind of made my own leaf here on this flower. So I'm going to draw that in. This is coming out. And you can go back and forth. I mean, if you feel that, you know, this is the first time you're doing it and you don't feel that confident that you've gotten everything, do a little bit at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my leaf out of this flower. And something is wrong. Okay, I see what I did. I cut this piece right here, and I shouldn't have. Not a big deal. All we need to do is take a small piece of tape. You won't even notice it by the time we're finished. So I'm just going to put a little tape on there. Let's cut the excess off. Okay. And it looks like I made a little leaf here also. It's the gardener. That's what you hear. There, the leaf blower. All the leaves, as fall usually does, all the leaves are falling. Just want to make sure I have everything. I'm going to make that leaf. And it's going to allow that flower to come out. So what we're doing is we're getting rid of summer or spring, and we're getting rid of all of those flowers off the tree, and we're turning it into a full card. So remember how I always said, you know, look at your dies, look to see what you can do. I'm going to cut her out completely. And then I'm going to cut these little flowers out. I tried to keep them in, but I made a kind of like a sign, or my sentiment is going to go down here. I want to cut all this out. Now we're going to cut her off the fence, away from the cat. And this I don't think I had this whole thing. I think once I cut her off, no, I did. I had the bottom piece. So, and I'm going to stop right where the cat is. What do you think? Think we're done? Let's see. Yeah, we're done. We did pretty good on that one. Didn't take long. Maybe it did. Okay. Now we're going to take this one and we're going to marry these two. And this is a much smaller die, but we can still utilize some pieces from it. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did with this one. I am going to take my little piece here, and this one is even easier, I think. Okay. And we're just going to take our pencil again, and we're going to mark off what we need to cut away. And I love when dies have this snip ability, which means you could, you know, pretty much turn it into something else. So that makes the die much more versatile. And sometimes, you know, some people won't buy a die like this because, you know, it's like, okay, it only has one use. But when there are certain images inside the die, no, it could be used for other things. And you know, I'm very big on using for other things. This is all cut out. I want to try to keep some of the end because I'm going to need, you know, a place to attach it. And this is going to go here. So I'm going to cut off the tree, cut the top off there, and then do the fence. Okay. So I'm just going to follow my marks. And this part you're going to see, so I'd like it to be a smoother, you know, it's kind of a smoother cut. And this is coming off. We can use the little girl and boy for something else, maybe. Then I'm going to cut. I'm going to try to follow the line there. And to cut right by the house. And again, I need my template to help me remember because I didn't make a line. And it looks like all I have to do is cut this all away. Now, the reason why I'm cutting this away is if it stays here, it's too much. You know, I mean, maybe I should have showed that example before I cut it, but it's too much. And also, the tree branches are a little different. So I can have them on this side, and they're smaller, so the perspective works better rather than it being right on top of another tree with different leaves and different thicknesses. It works better because it's a further away image, this image here. So I wanted to keep that part there because I thought that even with this in here, I thought that this may look like a post that the fence is kind of attached to. And I even like this kind of angle here because it almost looks like a walkway, like an opening where that gate is. And I kind of like that. I thought it added to the picture. So now, the one thing that I didn't do is right here. And you can see it if I put my smaller cut behind it, place it where I'm going to want it. And I didn't cut it off because I do want the house separate from the very top of that framing area. And I'm still not really sure what I want to do. I mean, I can cut more of this off and bring it down and kind of make it part of the tree. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I think I'm going to cut off all of this. So I'm still going to have an area to glue and attach it to. Plus I'm going to frame this. So I can position this so that the house is down where I want it to be. And I can kind of hide, like I'll glue this together and I can kind of hide this piece here. I may trim this down too. This was the piece I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with. And let's see. I think that looks better. And I think it looks really good when this piece here kind of connects with this little leaf right here. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit more. I think maybe I'm going to cut a little bit more off right here. And hide that. And I think that looks better. I think that looks a lot better. I don't know. Maybe I should just cut this whole thing off. I can still attach it to one of the leaves. Let's see what that gave us. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. See the difference? Oh yeah. Much, much, much better. So you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to glue it. Like right now. Why not? Okay. So I'm going to glue the edge here for now. I'm going to make sure that I don't have that other frame for the second die behind it. I don't have that showing. Again, like I said, I don't mind this. Obviously put too much glue there, but I can always rub that off. And I am going to now attach this end to the tree. So just going to put a little glue there, attach it to the tree. And that's it. It's stuck. It's there. It's down. It's staying. Okay. So now we have that. And I'll erase some of that later. This is my frame. And I'm going to have to cut some off the bottom here. But this is my frame. It's going to show a little bit of that black frame on the top and on the sides. And I kind of like that. But I think maybe the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the background. And this is my background. So I'm going to use just regular glue, and I'm going to go around the edge. Now, maybe I shouldn't have put some down here because we're going to be cutting that off. But let's see. But what I also did with the house is put some glue behind the shadow. I made a little shadow for the house. And I know I want a little bit of room for that frame to attach to. I'm going to put this down and lay it down straight. Let's see how we're doing here. Good. Very good. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim my bottom. And I'm going to make a mark. And I will probably go higher than my mark. I'm going to have to trim some of that purple off the top. Maybe I can get away with it. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to glue it. And if I have to trim a little bit off after, I will. Excuse me. And I am going to put a couple of ghosts and some bats and a spider web on this card. And I'm trying to think, maybe I should, you know what? Let me mount it on the card base. So the card is going to open up. Okay, we need to do something about that. This is going to be the back of the card. And I typically like to cut just a little bit off the back. It makes it so much easier for the recipient to open it. Okay. And I'm going to take the score tape off. Now, the background is not a very thick paper. So I'm just going to put the smallest amount of liquid glue. I'm going to go behind the house in case it buckles. I really don't want it shown. A little bit behind the cat. And that should hold it flat. I'm going to try to get this as centered as possible. Remember that we're going to be framing it. So if it's a little off, it's not a big deal, because the frame should definitely give it a more finished look. And we're hiding stuff. And that's why I really like to use frames, to hide stuff. Make sure I'm straight. Okay. Now what I have is my Happy Halloween sign, which I want to just lay down, but I kind of want the cat's tail to be on top of the sign. I'm going to pick it up. Like I said, I'm going to pick it up. I want the tail to kind of be hanging over the sign. And right about there, I think is good. Bring it up just a little bit more. I can only bring it up so far because the tail is kind of keeping it kind of low down. Then we take a couple of little, I am going to just lay these down because I'm looking at the time. And I'm just going to kind of put the larger ones in the front and the smaller ones, again, perspective. The smaller ones should be more in the back. So let me have him kind of coming towards us out of the house. And here's another small one I have here. And I think I just might have him peeking out right here. And let's see, a couple of bats. All right. A couple of bats, and this card is done. Okay. That's one. I want the smallest ones. Now, I don't even know if you'll realize that it is a bat because it's so similar to some of the leaves, but we're going to put them in there anyway. And here's the other one. Maybe right there. Okay, what do you think? Happy Halloween. I think it came out very cute. Well, I want to thank you all for stopping in again. Thank you for all your subscriptions and your likes and your comments. And let me know what you think of the card. Should I have put a face on the cat? I know I was a little undecided. Yeah, I think it came out cute. I know I was rushing a little bit. I hope I gave you an idea about perception and depth and perspective. I think it's important that things, I mean, the ghosts are a little big. They're pretty big because they're like the size of a room. But it still gives you the perception because these are smaller than this one is here. And, yeah. So just by looking at your dies, especially scenic dies, see what you can take from one and put it with the other. See how you can take a smaller die that this one, like this one was, and kind of marry it with one that's larger. Look at your dies a little differently. Try to get the best you can or the most you can out of the supplies that you have. And I probably will see you before Halloween, but in case I miss you, have a very safe and happy Halloween. Thank you again, and remember, it's the little things in card making. Bye now.